Thank you. The topic for tonight is, I think it's Terrorism, Globalization, and Conspiracy. Was that the title? Am I in the right town, right title? I'd like to start with the most important of those three. This is a trick stand here. Here we go. Most important of those three, which is globalization. Globalization is an attempt to extend corporate monopoly control over the entire globe, over every national economy, over every local economy, over every life. It does this by treating international corporate property rights and international corporate investment rights as supreme, as taking precedence over all other rights, including our democratic sovereignty. You know, globalization has been treated by its proponents as a natural, inevitable process. First we had local economies, then they naturally became regional economies, and then national, and then international, and now one big global economy. It just happens that way. In fact, there's nothing inevitable about it, and there's certainly nothing natural about it. Globalization is being forced upon us through a series of secretive international trade agreements. Globalization really, when you look at it historically in a centuries-old context, is a future variant of imperialism. Imperialism is that system in which the leading dominant elements in one country expropriate the land, the labor, the resources, the capital of other peoples and other countries. And imperialism itself is an expansionist form of capitalism. Now, I want to make some critical comments about capitalism, even though we're in a Presbyterian church. I just think any mention of capitalism immediately evokes or induces some people to lapse into sentimentality and bathos. All our lives we've heard about the valiant little entrepreneur who markets a new idea, who creates jobs. It's usually given in that kind of sentimental sing-song voice, performs a valuable service, the mom and pop stores that contribute to the community and the economy. Okay, I'm not talking about them, okay? I'm talking about the other 90% of the wealth in this world. I'm talking about the giant financial institutions, the giant transnational corporations that control the lion's share of the world's worth, that control the populations and the power of nations. You can't talk about globalization and imperialism without talking about capitalism, although some people manage to do it and try to do that all the time. We're taught a few things about capitalism. We're taught that it's a system that works. It's a system that has brought us prosperity. We've heard that all our lives. Now, I'm going to try to convince you otherwise, and I'm going to do it in 2 minutes. Okay? Actually, I think some of you already have certain suspicions about that system. It's very simple. Almost the entire world is capitalist. And almost the entire world is poor. Capitalist Indonesia is miserably poor and getting poorer. Capitalist India is miserably poor and getting poorer. So with capitalist Thailand, and capitalist Nigeria, and capitalist El Salvador, and Haiti, and Mexico, and Brazil, and Argentina, and capitalist Russia, and Poland, and Bulgaria, with all the privatization, and deregulation, and free market coming in. Poverty, increase in crime, increase in desperation, increase in misery, increase in homelessness, increase in suicides. It's capitalism at work, moving in. Now, not everyone suffers. The capitalists in these countries are doing quite well. These countries are getting poorer as the giant corporations move in and get richer. These companies are getting poorer as there's more and more deregulation, more and more so-called free market, which is really monopoly market. It's a free market if you got money. It's a market that works for those who have money. These countries are getting poorer because the people are being driven off the lands by the giant corporations. They create business zones. You can go to places, islands in the Philippines, where people have had beautiful communities since time immemorial. They fish. They have their houses. In the community, they have their orchards. They have their vineyards or whatever, the farms. And the giant companies come in with some bogus claim to the land, drive them all off it, and clear cut the wood that's on there and turn it into a wasteland. Since it's tropical topsoil, it can't survive clear cutting. And these people are driven off into the shanty towns. And you get a record. In the Philippines, why the gross national product has gone up because this company has come in and made all these sales on the timber. Meanwhile, thousands and thousands of lives are utterly destroyed. And the people go into the cities and they find new work opportunities under the free market capitalism, prostitution and drugs and beggary, all sorts of new things that didn't exist in their lives before. So those business zones make people poorer. The corporations go in and they displace and they wipe out domestic production and domestic businesses by dumping and underselling. That makes people poorer. The corporations go in, they force cutbacks in human services, education, health, and housing as the country develops a heavier and heavier debt structure, as the IMF does its structural adjustment programs, imposing conditions of lowered spending and lowered consumption. They consume less, they've got to produce more to help pay this debt, a debt that becomes soon unpayable because it accumulates and compounds. That makes people poorer. The corporation force down prices of non-renewable resources, go in and plunder the land, the earth, to get those natural resources out, underpaying whatever production the people do produce, and whatever they put on the international market is underpaid through monopoly control of those markets. That makes people poorer. So we've solved the mystery. Look, I did it in a little bit more than 2 minutes. We've solved the mystery, though, why over the past half-century financial investment has increased, profits have increased, wealth has increased, but so has poverty. Because wealth and poverty don't just live together in unfortunate juxtaposition. We always hear that too, don't we? Isn't it terrible? So much wealth next to so much poverty. What a shame. Wouldn't it be nice if these people gave a little bit more to these people? Well, they're not just there so much shamefully in contrast. They're there in a dynamic interrelationship because it's wealth that creates poverty. The corporations don't go into the third world to start affirmative action programs, to abolish poverty, to uplift these little brown and black and yellow people to the ways of the wise white man. They don't go in to do that. Or they actually talk about doing that. They don't go in to help the poor. They go in to help themselves. And that's what they do.